Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the next episode of Model Mondays. My name's Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters and hosts to answer live. Our session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our host for today. Thanks for joining.
Hi, thank you all. Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Model Mondays. We are already on episode 8 of season 2, so this is shocking. Today, I'm super excited because we've got two really interesting topics. First, we'll have a spotlight on on-device and local AI with Maanav Dalal. We'll talk to him in just a minute. And we will also have a really interesting customer story from XanderGlasses. Stick around for that because if you want to see how AI works with wearable assistive devices, that should be interesting. But first, I need to introduce our typical guest, Sharmila Chakalingam. Hi, Sharmila. So nice to see you back.
Hi, Nitya. It's been a long time since we both are hosting the show together. So now good to be back.
Yeah,
And
you're the DNA for this thing, and I think your segment gets a lot of approval from people. So before I hand it off to you to talk a little bit about this, I just want to let people watching know that this series we usually have a 30-minute episode, but we have 45 minutes today. We'll start with Sharmila's 5-minute highlights, and then we'll have the spotlight session. So Sharmila, what do you have for us in highlights today? Do you want to talk briefly before we roll tape?
I mean, it's kind of interesting because this week's highlights, it's kind of touching on a lot of things outside of the model launch ecosystem as well. So we are little light on model news, but I will tell you next week there's going to be a slew of model news again. But for today, it's going to be more around agents, tools, fine tuning and all that. So let's get started.
Let's roll tape.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Model Mondays Weekly Highlights. And I know you missed this. We missed the highlights last week because, of course, we had not too many model news. It's kind of the same again this week as well. Very interestingly, less model news, but there are still other things that we could share. So let's dive into the highlights. So first is RFT observability. With the new RFT observability tools in Azure AI Foundry, you can actually get a peek under the hood while your model is actually training. So you don't have to wait anymore till the end to see if something got sabotaged in your job or if your model went off the rails with reward hacking. So we are introducing auto evals, quick evals, and Python grader, your new best friends for debugging, optimizing, and guiding your fine tunes in real time. So think of it like telemetry for your model's brain, prompts, responses, and scores at every checkpoint. It's like having a fitness tracker for your AI. And yes, the developer tier is now generally available, so go ahead and test without touching your budget. So fine tuning in Foundry just leveled up. Moving on, GitHub just lit a fire under Copilot Pro with GitHub Spark. Now it's in public preview. Think of it as an AI pair programmer that's less autocomplete and more of a mind reader. So Spark helps explain code, suggest entire workflows, and reason about software architecture in ways that feel like magic. So if Copilot was your sidekick, Spark is your staff engineer. So it's the Copilot you actually want in a pull request review. Then diving into the world of a model. Big AI models usually mean like big data, big costs, and big compute bills. But what if you could get the same or even better accuracy with synthetic data instead of massive real-world data sets. And of course, we've been hearing a lot of news about models like next version of models like Grok that's going to be trained on synthetic data. And this you can see why. Enter David, our data efficient and accurate vision models that has been trained from synthetic data, a breakthrough vision model which is trained on procedurally synthetic data, and it nails tasks like depth estimation, surface normals, and soft segmentation, all without touching a massive real image corpus. So why does it matter? So there are perfect labels, no privacy drama, and controlled diversity, and cheaper to train and run without sacrificing accuracy, and ethnically sourced data, so fewer headaches around provenance and bias. So this is how we scale vision AI smarter and not harder. So synthetic data is no longer a shortcut, it's actually a very important strategy in advancing these models going forward. Then, of course, our next highlight is a hot take from Azure AI. So, around agents. In the age of agents, it's actually cool to be a tool. So, if your website isn't exposing functionality via APIs or metadata, you're actually invisible to AI. So, this is actually a blog that makes the case for building agent-friendly sites. Think semantic markup, open API specs, and AI optimized call to actions. It's like SEO but for LLMs. So you want agents to book your service, fetch your data, or call your API. Then toolifying your site is how you future proof for AI, and future proofing never looked so functional. Okay, of course, there's no news without MCP. So this is actually about a course that we're offering. So if you want to build AI agents that are actually useful, secure, and ready for the real world, we have MCP, the secret sauce behind scalable agentic AI in our Azure. And in this beginner-friendly 11-part series, our very own April Gittens, who's been our host on Model Mondays, actually walks you through everything from MCP fundamentals to advanced deployment in Visual Studio Code. So you will learn to understand how MCP standardizes agent memory and context. You can build and run AI agents locally, securely, and at scale. And you will explore real-world case studies from early enterprise adopters. And you can also contribute to the community and learn battle-tested best practices. So whether you're just MCP curious or ready to go full agent architect, this is the real intro class you wish you had a while back. And that wraps up our weekly highlights. See you again next week, and I'll hand it back to Nitya.
All right. Thanks again, Sharmila. And I'm just going to say, don't you feel like we're living in an MCP world?
Yeah, like in the Matrix.
I know. I was very excited to see. I really think it's nice that we can connect back to the people who've come before. So I know the David one, for example, is coming out of research, and there's a repo for the data sets. You want to play with them, models, etc. MCP, of course, there's MCP for beginners. We had the MCP Azure server last week. We had the Foundry research server the week before. So it's really exciting. And I'm 100% hoping you're back next week, because I've got a feeling it's going to be all models.
Yes.
All highlights.
Yes. We are going to be back next week with a lot more model news.
I am so excited for that. So thank you so much again. And I did want to say, maybe you should hang on for a sec while we introduce Maanav. And then we can kind of segue on, because you did talk about, like, the bigger what's new in Azure AI Foundry. And we have Maanav Dalal in the studio with us. Welcome, Maanav.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Hi. So I want to introduce Maanav by setting up the fact that this is our weekly spotlight. So as you know, my name is Nitya Narasimhan. I'm on the AI advocacy team. And today we have Maanav Dalal with us. Maanav is the product manager on Core AI for a product known as Foundry Local. So I'm going to turn it over to Maanav just quickly to introduce himself. And thanks so much, Sharmila, for hanging out with us. And take it over, Maanav, and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what Foundry Local is.
Sure, yeah. So I've been on the Foundry Local team or like the larger team for about 3 years now. I'm a product manager on the team, and I'm one of the 5 founding product managers on the product. So we're really excited because we spun this up around January off of some other stuff that you'll learn about later. We've had a lot of infrastructure for a while, but Foundry Local is, in my opinion, one of the most exciting things that I get to live and breathe as a part of my day, but also as a part of like the landscape right now in AI. So basically what Foundry Local allows you to do is run a lot of these open source models on device in a very easy manner. And you're probably wondering, that already exists. I'm sure that there's other solutions, and that's true. But because at Microsoft we get to work so closely with all of our hardware partners, we have amazing performance, and we unlock the performance of your CPUs, your GPUs, as well as your NPUs if you have them on device. And so we're getting some amazing performance to like run these open source models. Not only do we get to test them, but we get to like actually use them in production workflows. And I think that's what Foundry Local is mostly focused on. It's not only having AI that we can run on our devices, but also then bringing that to consumers. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you taped a demo for us, and we're going to look at that really quickly. But what I really loved about this idea of on-device and local AI is I know a lot of our customers, developers, they want the ability to kind of like, work with data sets locally on hardware that they own. So you could actually kind of do a lot of work without having to go to the cloud. But it's actually very seamless in going between local and cloud as well. And you have a really rich tooling system. I think your demo covers this. You have a CLI and SDK and a REST API. And it's currently in preview. So do you want us to run the demo first before you come back and do other kind of like?
Yeah, let's start with the demo.
All right, let's roll tape.
Hi everyone, my name is Maanav Dalal, and I'm really excited to be here from the Foundry Local team recording a demo for Model Mondays. Today we're going to be covering the power of on-device AI and how Foundry Local enables you to run models on your device very easily and very quickly. So we're going to start at the GitHub Foundry Local repo, and we're going to go ahead and install. We have installation for Windows and Mac OS that's really straightforward, so I'll go ahead and install it via Winget. And as you can imagine, I already have it installed, but we'll go ahead and check that that's installed by typing foundry -- version, and we can see that we have that version. So I'll go ahead and type foundry, and generally when you give it no commands, it's just going to give you some information because there was no required command provided. And from here, we can kind of get started. So it says first,
Okay, hi everyone. We are going to swap to a live demo because I think that was a bit quiet, and I think that while we're all scared of live demos working or not working, hopefully this will be okay. I just want to make sure that when you're looking at this, it works and it works as expected. But not only that, it works very nicely. So I'm on a pre-release version of Foundry, but as expected in the demo, you're able to install it very easily. Let me see if I can zoom in anymore. Okay, why don't we use a different terminal, and we'll get even closer because this one's not letting me get any more zoomed. Give me one moment to set that up. Okay, how about we switch to this one? Apologies, this is just in the interest of making sure that everyone can see and we have a great experience. Okay, and we'll do this. Hopefully that's looking okay. Oh, not quite. Okay, hopefully that's looking all right. Apologies for contrast. I would love for it to be light mode, but it's not cooperating with me quite the way that I'd want it to right now. Is this looking okay? I hope so. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and type Foundry version again. And you can see that we're not on the right shell. Okay, one more time. This is why they suggested not doing a live demo, but we'll make it work. Okay, so we're running 0.5, which I believe is actually an available version of Foundry right now. Maybe this is a slightly newer version, but it should be mostly the same. So it's a very simple CLI, and it kind of works exactly like you'd expect, but you can go ahead and type Foundry model list, and it'll go ahead and spit out this large set of models, which looks a little bit nicer when smaller, but I'll zoom in a bit. And we'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead and type Foundry cache ls to see the models that we already have downloaded, because I've gone ahead and gotten some ready. Hopefully these are some familiar models that we're used to understanding. So I've got quencoder models, we've got 5.4, some reasoning models, as well as a couple of DeepSeek models, as well as Mistral ones. So lots of options, but I personally, on this computer right now, and because we're streaming, we'll run something a little bit easier, maybe a quencoder model or a quen model, and we'll try that. One thing that you may have noticed is that we have lots of different models for different hardware, as I was mentioning earlier. So we have generic ones for CPU, we have options for CUDA, and we also have options for NPU, although I don't have an NPU machine right now on me. So I'll use a GPU model that's optimized for CUDA. I think that makes the most sense, given that right now I'm running a GPU, which is not super large in terms of memory, but it will be great for this demo, hopefully. So I'll type Foundry model run, and then I'll go ahead and type in that model, and it'll take a second to load it. Now we're in interactive chat mode, so we can ask questions just like we would with any other model. So we can ask, why is the sky blue? And hopefully, once it's loaded into memory, you can see it's ripping. It's so fast. And it's hard to switch tabs, but you'll see that my performance, for my GPU spikes for a little bit while it's going ahead and doing that. Another example, maybe we can ask it to write me a short poem about coffee, because I personally love coffee, and you can see that this is not coffee, this is coffee with one E. Maybe it'll do slightly nicer with 2. Yeah, wow, look at that. So you can see that it's both really, really quick and really effective. So that's one quick demo that we can do, but we can also move into a second demo, which is a RAG demo, which hopefully I can just showcase by pulling up an endpoint. Let's see if we can do that. So we're gonna go downloads, flrag. Let's just venv. I think it's going to be activate.ps1. Okay, cool. We're in Open now. Okay, sorry. So that was one demo, and kind of what we showcased there was just running a model, very straightforward and very simply. This is something else that I've gotten to set up, which hopefully I can run if we run this command. And it's going to be a little server that we have spun up. We'll give it a moment to do its thing. And what effectively we've done in this demo is going to be using RAG. So we'll be able to look at documents, feed them into context for these models, and then use those documents to ask questions to the model. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and this will likely require switching of the screen share. So I hope we'll be ready for that in a moment. Let's go ahead and jump into this one and that. And let me know if you're able to see this one. We'll go ahead and zoom in nice and close. And we'll use that same model again. So actually, I'll use a CPU model. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and put in a document. In this case, we're going to use an old transcript of mine, because I think this one is a really interesting use case. But in any case, RAG is really useful as it allows us to take documents, feed them into the context of these models, and then ask models questions about these documents. So that's really interesting. And while I'm stalling while this knowledge base is being processed, this is happening using sentence transformers. So it's also offline and through a transformers library, but we're hoping to have RAG models locally on Foundry as well shortly. This is going to take a second because I think that this is not super optimized to run on device. But we'll let it go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, hopefully we can preview this transcript. Let's go ahead and get that open. Okay, so without sharing too much personal information, this is an old transcript of mine from 2022, and it's got some stuff like my student number on it, maybe my GPA, my name, etc. And hopefully with this document that we're providing, we'll be able to get some information out of it. I'll most likely ask something about the courses, the student numbers, GPA, and maybe what different courses were like software engineering courses. And yeah, Nitya's mentioning that I'm from McMaster. I'm a Canadian, and so it was really nice to spend some time there. And now I presently live in Washington. So we'll take a quick peek to see what's going on over here. We seem almost done on the back end. And I'll just let it keep doing its thing. In the meantime, I should probably ask some or answer some questions since there are so many. So I have 4 gigabytes of VRAM, Austin. So it's not a very large or very great GPU. I think it's approximately equivalent to a GTX 1050 Ti. So it's not the largest. We have another question. Is there a way to monitor all the deployments? That is a great question. We have Foundry Service PS, which allows us to see all of the active models that are running and which ones are currently loaded into memory. We can also load and unload models. In terms of loading and caching models from Foundry Local and Ollama or other examples, that's another great question. So presently, we don't have direct support for that. We run ONNX models locally, and since Ollama as well as other model providers typically use other model formats, it's not something that we can do right away. Okay, we'll get to more questions soon, but we have finally loaded in this document, so we're ready to ask some questions. So again, I've gone ahead and selected a CPU model this time, but it's still Quen. And maybe I'll ask what is the student's, or what is the student's student number? And this is a live demo, so let's really, really hope for the best here. We're praying that our model does a good job here getting information in. We'll let it do its thing. Okay, it is this number, which if we look at the transcript, we will be accurate with. Awesome. Okay, so we're clearly getting some information in that a model wouldn't know otherwise. What is the student's GPA? So one thing that's really interesting about McMaster University is we actually weren't on a 4-point GPA scale. It was actually a 12-point scale. So hopefully, if the model is actually getting the context that it needs, it's not going to suggest otherwise. And wow, look at that. Yeah, it is correct. And it gave my accurate GPA. And that's really, really cool. Okay, cool. Maybe we'll ask one last question. What courses are SFWENG courses? And hopefully it comes through a laundry list of courses here. So if we take a look at this transcript, we can see that we have a variety of courses. There are software engineering courses. And hopefully this will be okay. Now, I know that this is a slightly larger query because I think the model will go ahead and look through the entire cache. And we're hoping that we'll be able to see a lot of information. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, so it took about 20 seconds, but we were able to find all these different courses. So if anyone was questioning if I was a software engineer, they can know that I at least did these courses, and we can kind of see whether I did well in them or not. But I think that's enough for live demos for now. I kind of wanted to transition to one more demo, which I think is really interesting. Now, this is a little bit in the works. We're almost ready to showcase the power of Foundry in GitHub Copilot or through other model providers. So I'm hoping that's something that I can outline today, but I need a second to set that up. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And we'll go ahead and share a different screen this time. And hopefully that will work. Apologies, I just wanted to make sure that instead of having a quiet output or like a quiet demo, we just have a live one that hopefully just works a bit better. We'll go ahead and look at that, and I will zoom in to the best of my abilities, and we can do that. So we're in a hopefully familiar terminal. We have VS Code, and I will try my best to zoom such that we can go ahead and see what's going on. So there's an extension that we're working on called Foundry Local Chat, which does exactly what you'd think it might. So we're using GitHub Copilot because we just want to be directly integrated into that. But you can see that it's going to say that the Foundry Local Chat provider was registered successfully. So that's really good. Extensions are loading, and so typically that'll take a second, but we can see that the models are also loaded, so we should be good to run some of these models through GitHub Copilot. I'll keep this demo simple since these are quite large, and because context windows are so large, it can be very difficult. But as expected, as another model provider, once you install the extension, you can choose Foundry Local, and then you can go ahead and select all the models that you have installed on your device. So I'm again going to go with probably the Quen CUDA model since that's had great success for me. And right now, ask mode works the best, but we'll go ahead and ask it some questions, such as, what is this file? What packages are installed? What LangChain packages are installed? I'm so glad to see all these questions in the chat. I'm really excited to answer all of them. So you can see it's really ripping through. And I'm going to minimize for a second so we can hopefully see how quickly it's going through. But it's gone ahead and given us this whole output of all these different packages that it has, as well as some descriptions for them, as well as a quick summary of which ones it has that are LangChain related. So I thought that was really cool, and that works really well for me. Again, when it comes to Copilot or Copilot chat in general, people can struggle because it can be really confusing to spend so much money on these different subscriptions across many tokens. And so if you happen to have the powerful hardware where you can run this on device, it's really, really interesting to see that you can. And not just that you can, but you can do that really well. Okay, so that was a little bit longer than we hoped for. Sometimes that happens when it's a live demo. But I hope I gave you a pretty good example of what you can do with local AI and how many different options there are that Foundry Local makes really easy through both a CLI and an SDK.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, hands down, the best episode I've seen in a while, because that was awesome, man. Seriously, we got to go back and literally pull this up.
I'm just glad everything worked.
You're so coming back. I'm not even kidding. When the extension comes out, we want you back. But let me give time to the questions. We have to go to the next segment in a bit, but I do want them to answer the questions, so I'm going to read them out. I think you stopped at the one which says, there's one which says, other than Gradio, what are the interfaces that work with local LLMs can you recommend? I know you showed Gradio, but any others that you think of?
Interfaces that work. I mean, we've used Open Web UI as a great one to just get a chat interface open and running very quickly. When it comes to agents, MCP, et cetera, these are things that we're actively working on in Foundry Local, so expect those to be coming out soon. When it came to build a couple months ago, that's something that we did try to outline and do, and we have demos that are working. We also have like an internal, like an insider's build, which I won't share out right now just because we're developing it very, very rapidly. But just know that that is very much in the pipeline directly. And
yeah, and I want to give a shout out to the fact that on Discord, you actually hang out on the Foundry Local channel. And I'm hoping some of the stuff you're talking about, you will actually share over there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a sign up there. So if you would like to, I think you can hop in and maybe we'll still give out access a little bit. We're still working very actively, so we don't want to really give you an unfinished product. And so that's the biggest thing that we're kind of like trying not to do here. But just know that these are super on our mind, and we're hoping that even through VS like Copilot, that we're able to provide kind of some of that functionality directly.
So yeah. I'm going to have you do 3 more questions, so see if you can get through those. Does it leverage CUDA cores? Asked Austin.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for that question, Austin. Absolutely, yeah, we work directly with NVIDIA, and so CUDA and all these models are CUDA supported. We also have some generic GPU models for other providers. So when we're working with companies like AMD as well, we are going to have and do have pipelines with both AMD and Intel to have those GPUs directly supported as well with all of that hardware. But it does leverage CUDA cores to the best ability that machine learning models do in general.
Okay, Ravi asks, can Foundry models be cached in a local or private registry for use by Foundry Local?
Great question. Yeah, if you read the documentation, we provide support for custom catalogs yourself. So if you're interested that way, that you're welcome to bring your own models or your own catalog overall. So yeah, we absolutely have support for that. And I'll cut you off for a second, Nithya. The question that Jim had kind of follows directly, which is, does it only support a set list of models? And the answer is no, it does not. Any model that you can convert to the ONNX format is supported by Foundry Local, which theoretically is every single machine learning model that is an LLM and physically available online. So we love using Hugging Face models to test. And one thing that I didn't want to showcase in this demo, but absolutely does work, are models such as Llama that we at Microsoft maybe aren't allowed to publish on our own. But anything that you're able to get on Hugging Face, you should be able to convert to ONNX and then run. And there are documentation steps to go ahead and get that started as well on your own.
All right. There was a question on resources. I'll address that in a minute, but I just want to say thank you so much. And I want to tell all of you that Maanav will be on our AMA this Friday on Discord at 1:30. So there's a link for that. It's just ak.ms/modelmonday/chat. Bring your questions because it looks like you have a lot of them, and hopefully we'll see you on Friday, Maanav. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and now we're going to transition over to our last segment. This is one of my favorite news segments, to be honest. This is where we feature customers using Azure AI in real-world experiences. So I want to bring in our two customer story speakers, Marilyn Morgan Westner and Alex Westner from XanderGlasses. Hello, how are you?
All right, unmuted. Thank you for having us, Nitya. It's great to be here.
It's great to be here, Ian. Thanks.
I am so excited for this because when I saw this and the name just said Xander, no one told me there was a glasses. And then I looked at your demo and I was like, this is incredible. So I want to start by just having you perhaps tell us a little bit about your company, the origin story, what problem you're solving, and then you can set up the demo when you're ready.
Sure. So thank you. It's a really short story because you have a packed episode. Our company is using smart glasses to solve more of an accessibility problem. So they're smart captioning glasses that show real-time captions of conversations for people with hearing disabilities, hearing loss, severe hearing loss. When hearing aids are no longer helpful, they can help you hear sounds, but not really help you understand speech. And so people rely on captions for TV and Teams calls and movies, and they have them on their phones, and captions are everywhere, except when you're in person. And so we started our company several years ago to try to bring this idea to market. And we've been in market for almost 2 years now. And we rely extensively on Microsoft. There are a number of other captioning glasses solutions and features that are coming in these AR glasses. Where we're more unique is that we've learned that everything needs to happen on the glasses. If for an accessibility experience, you have to be running on the edge. You have to have real-time captions that are not depending on a phone, not depending on cloud, because we found that, frankly, they can be unreliable and you can lose a connection. And if you're trying to have a conversation and you're relying on this assistive technology, it just has to work. So that's been our experience. And we have been working with Microsoft and using the embedded speech SDK since we started. The speech team is fantastic and have been super helpful in helping us optimize their tech for this use case. That's the big backstory.
Yeah, I had a sneak peek, I must say, of your demo, and it was super impressive. And I know Marilyn was basically the person in front of the camera. So should we basically look at the demo first and then come back and talk about the architecture? Would that work?
Sure, we can do that. I would set it up. Let me explain a couple things in order for the demo to be helpful. So the way speech to text works in general, especially, we're mostly familiar with the Microsoft embedded SDK, is you get partial responses and complete responses as you're streaming audio. So the idea is these partial responses are you're trying to display the text as fast as you can so that people can really keep up, even if it might have some accuracy problems. And then once the speech-to-text engine gets enough context, it goes back and does punctuation and grammar checks, and it might do capitalization, it might swap a couple words, and that's called a completed fragment. And so that's how that works. And what we've learned, where AI comes in and where this demo comes in, is working extensively with our partners and at the VA. There are some veterans that we tested with who really just had a hard time keeping up because there's a lot of people in the room talking fast, and you see the captions streaming by and they're working and they're accurate, but it's a lot of information. So we were brainstorming at the time, well, how do we simplify, reduce the information so that people who are reading slower or may have other cognitive disabilities can actually keep up? That's where the idea of we could maybe use generative AI to simplify the output of the speech to text. So that is where we are now, is we're testing this proof of concept, and we didn't get the full on-device solution working for this demo, but we have a hybrid. So for the demo, we're running embedded speech to text on the glasses, and then we're streaming the output of the text to the cloud, but we're running Phi models. So we wanted to run a small language model that we anticipate being able to actually embed in the glasses. And then we're returning that result. And the video, this is some setup. The video, it shows you 4 examples of different types, different ways that we've tried to leverage these two technologies together. And there's a lot of lessons learned and lots of opportunities for improvement, but there's also some good promise and potential here. So I think that sets it all up. So
yeah, let's go into the video, and I think we're going to have a big conversation when you come back.
Okay.
We are so excited to show you what it's like to wear XanderGlasses outside. Let's say if you have hearing challenges or you're in a situation that has a lot of ambient noise like this. There's a waterfall behind me, there's a little party going on over there, and you can't really hear clearly what someone is saying. This is a great opportunity to put on the XanderGlasses, and they will show you captions in real time of what a person is saying. So you only know what they look like. I don't have the glasses. I don't actually know if they're captioning me, but I have to trust that they are. But I trust, we're trying to show you what it's really like to see captions in real time. So, you know, it's kind of odd, right? Seeing captions floating in space while someone is talking, and that's what it's like. So imagine that you had these glasses and you were wearing them for a conversation. You'd be able to listen to somebody, even if you couldn't hear them, you could still understand what they were saying. So that is our solution. We hope that you like it. We hope that it helps you. If you're curious, reach out to us. We love getting questions from people. And that's it, and that's all. We are so excited to show you what it's like to wear XanderGlasses outside. Let's say if you have hearing challenges or you're in a situation that has a lot of ambient noise like this. There's a waterfall behind me, there's a little party going on over there, and you can't really hear clearly what someone is saying. This is a great opportunity to put on the XanderGlasses, and they will show you captions in real time of what a person is saying. So you only know what they look like. I don't have the glasses. I don't actually know if they're captioning me, but I have to trust that they are. But I trust, we're trying to show you what it's really like to see captions in real time. So, you know, it's kind of odd, right? Seeing captions floating in space while someone is talking, and that's what it's like. So imagine that you had these glasses and you were wearing them for a conversation. You'd be able to listen to somebody, even if you couldn't hear them, you could still understand what they were saying. So that is our solution. We hope that you like it. We hope that it helps you. If you're curious, reach out to us. We love getting questions from people, and that's it, and that's all.
Oh my God, that was so cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So can you hear me okay? I do think that this is a good time to tell us why we saw those two just one more time, like the completed and partial, and then please set up the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see that the results have some big problems, right? So there were timing problems. So this has to do with how we're using the cloud. This is why local on device is super necessary. So we would send these partials to the cloud, but they would get returned in different orders. So then we have to sort of stitch them back together in a way that makes sense, or add timestamps. So that was actually kind of an interesting problem. The second is, you know, you do have repetition because these partials sometimes get repeated. And so you have repeated captions, you have misordered captions. So, and a lot of this had to do with the fact that we're kind of leveraging this cloud hybrid thing right now. So the next thing we tried was, well, forget the partial thing. Let's just only use the completed fragments. Let's wait till the speech to text has its best answer, and then let's see if we can simplify that. And that's what the rest of the video shows.
So just for my own sake, and I know you'll set up the next segment. In the first one, what we're really doing is looking at the trade-off between latency and kind of like completeness, right? So you wait a little bit, you get a much cleaner response, but there is a latency, and this is all because you're going over Wi-Fi. Down the road, if we can do everything on local, it should be fairly seamless.
Yes,
that's even better. Okay, what are we going to see next?
So the next two videos, same style. We're just going to show you with where we wait for the completed fragments instead of rapidly streaming partials to the cloud. We're just going to wait for the speech to text to finish its best guess and then send that to the PHY model to reduce the text. And you'll see there's trade-offs with that as well. We can roll tape.
We are are so excited to show you what it's like to wear XanderGlasses outside. Let's say if you have hearing challenges or you're in a situation that has a lot of ambient noise like this. There's a waterfall behind me, there's a little party going on over there, and you can't really hear clearly what someone is saying. This is a great opportunity to put on the XanderGlasses and they will show you captions in real time of what a person is saying. So you only know what they look like. I don't have the glasses. I don't actually know if they're captioning me, but I have to trust that they are. But I trust, we're trying to show you what it's really like to see captions in real time. So, you know, it's kind of odd, right? Seeing captions floating in space while someone is talking, and that's what it's like. So imagine that you had these glasses and you were wearing them for a conversation. You'd be able to listen to somebody, even if you couldn't hear them, you could still understand what they were saying. So that is our solution. We hope that you like it. We hope that it helps you. If you're curious, reach out to us. We love getting questions from people. And that's it, and that's all. Okay, we are so excited to show you what it's like to wear XanderGlasses outside. Let's say if you have hearing challenges or you're in a situation that has a lot of ambient noise like this. There's a waterfall behind me, there's a little party going on over there, and you can't really hear clearly what someone is saying. This is a great opportunity to put on the XanderGlasses and they will show you captions in real time of what a person is saying. So you only know what they look like. I don't have the glasses. I don't actually know if they're captioning me, but I have to trust that they are. But I trust, we're trying to show you what it's really like to see captions in real time. So, you know, it's kind of odd, right? Seeing captions floating in space while someone is talking, and that's what it's like. So imagine that you had these glasses and you were wearing them for a conversation. You'd be able to listen to somebody, even if you couldn't hear them, you could still understand what they were saying. So that is our solution. We hope that you like it. We hope that it helps you. If you're curious, reach out to us. We love getting questions from people. That's it, and that's all.
I don't know if you're watching the chat, but there were so many questions. I really, really love this. Let me see if I'll leave this on the screen while we chat. This is a QR code to your site. And I really like this, the way you could describe it as sight for sound. It made so much sense to me. I'll let you start with the questions. I was going to ask, let me go pick up the questions that are on the chat. We'll start with those. So the first person said, are the captions translated into other languages? This is from Ravi Singh.
So thanks to the Microsoft embedded speech models, we actually have 26 different language variations that are all embedded on the glasses. So there's 26 different speech to text languages. That same, I speak Spanish, I get Spanish captions. If you want to translate between languages, as far as we know, there aren't any local embedded models that can do translation. That's where we rely on a cloud service. But our glasses do have Wi-Fi. They can connect to the cloud. It is possible to do translation with our glasses. We're actually beta testing that translation feature right now.
Awesome. And I have to say that there was a question right before from Austin Anders that was literally the same thing. It was like, wow, can these glasses work as a translation device? So I think you're beginning to see quite a lot of interest in not just the natural language part of it and the closed captioning. Not the display of captions that are post-processed, but definitely on the language side. Let me go to the next question. Someone said, this is amazing. This will be very beneficial for the deaf and hard of hearing community. I know you worked with a VA. So have you, just out of curiosity, have you had any insights into things that you had to do differently for that community?
That's kind of why we had to start doing embedded. That's where we had learned right away that many of the veterans don't have access to Wi-Fi. They live in rural areas, or it's some of the VA medical centers, they can't log on to Wi-Fi because you're in a hospital and it's the password, that system is locked down for staff. So they needed something that was dependable wherever. So if they were out and, walking around a lake, or they were at home, or they were in the shopping mall, wherever they were, it needed to be reliable. The hybrid switching back and forth is not really reliable. So we learned that from them right away. And we also learned that it's not just for people who are hard of hearing. There's a lot of people that can hear sound but have a traumatic brain injury, and they can't understand language anymore when it's spoken. So there's conditions like aphasia where you can hear just fine, but you can't understand what the words are. When you see them, you can actually, that really helps reinforce. And so that's how it really helps them to communicate. And then the last one was tinnitus. So that's the condition where you hear like a buzzing or a ringing in your ears all the time. A lot of veterans have that condition, and they will use hearing aids to mask that sound in their head with white noise, but then they can't communicate. So they will do both. They will wear the device, but then wear the glasses so they can still be able to communicate. So we learned all of that just from that one population. And you guys, Microsoft was amazing because really you are the only like solution that we found that was reliable and accurate. The accuracy and the quickness, that's what everybody is so amazed. A lot of veterans said, oh, I have this device, I use this translation device on my phone, but it's awful. It's slow. There's a latency. And that's where Microsoft, it's instant. It's a 225 millisecond. So it's almost not noticeable in conversation.
I think we have to put a link to the embedded speech SDK, but I have to say, I think it resonates. The point you're making that this is not only about hearing, but there are many different contexts in which it's applicable. Two folks, Lee says, wow, this is amazing. This will be beneficial. Yes. Then someone says, have you considered talking to Microsoft about Mew, a Windows Insider preview for Windows settings agent, given speed and small size? Was curious if you would consider this or knew about it.
We don't know about it. We're happy to talk to anybody that we can help.
We can follow up on that one. Sure. The other one said, Lee West followed up with, is it possible to use this technology on tinted sunglasses?
Oh, we actually include a sunglasses clip-on in every kit that we sell for reasons of sometimes you wear it outside, but also we've tested with people who have a light sensitivity. And so if you're looking at captioning glasses and you've got the display, some people just find the light actually too much. And so when they wear the clip-on, it really helps kind of calm the eyes down and really helps them sort of focus. So yes.
And then we had another question, which was, have you worked on diarization for speaker ID?
Yes, that's an interesting problem. So diarization is, sort of understanding multiple voices in a group for people who don't know. There is diarization that works. Microsoft has a cloud diarization feature that we've tested. The interesting problem is the UI. So you might have 2 people, 3 people talking at the same time. And where it gets challenging for the user is, sure, you can display person 1, person 2, person 3. It actually becomes a little bit tricky for the user to actually follow as people are going back and forth who said what. So in theory, it's like, oh, it's great. I'm going to know perfectly what everybody said. When you start testing it, you realize, oh, this is really more challenging than we thought it is. So I think we're all going to get there. But I think so many of these technologies have great promise, and they just need a lot of work and testing to make them work for people.
And I know you have a user experience researcher too, but like just out of the left field, I'm guessing it's not easy to color code the text so you can detect speakers by the color of captions. Is
color? We chose to use monochrome because it saves cost and battery life.
Makes sense.
When you have color, it's 3 times the light and 3 times the energy required. Some people are color blind, and so we're okay. Most of our customers are really fine just having monochrome.
You have 2 more positive things, which says this will break barriers, so much potential, said Austin. And John P said, very neat. It seems like there's a huge shortage of translators in hospitals and healthcare, which I think is actually a really good application domain for this. But then Yasit asked, do you guys experience issues with deploying or updating the models running on constrained computing hardware?
Well, the models are large, so they have to be sort of downloaded, but the models we have been really solid. So we haven't really needed to update them since we started shipping the product. So when we ship the glasses out, everything is pre-installed, ready to go for the user. So they don't have to do anything. They don't have to download anything else. And the models have been solid. So we haven't had to do those constant updates. So solution just works. So we're grateful for what we have.
I'm super grateful to both of you being on this chat, and I was going to just let folks know that if you have questions, please post them or come to our AMA. And if we have you both there, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll bring them to you and make sure we summarize all of this. Go check out XanderGlasses. That's the QR code to their site. And reach out to Alex and Marilyn and let them know what you think. I think that would be awesome. And I can't wait to see what the edge version of it, local device model, looks like. So thank you both very much. We are a little bit over our usual recording time, but hopefully that's okay. Just want to let you know that next week we will have Mona Lisa Whalen with April Gittins as the host. And this will focus on AI agents, an agent catalog, and how you can pick the right models for your agents. So definitely register for that if you haven't done so. And don't forget, if you had questions for our speakers today, Maanav will be on our AMA on Friday on Azure AI Foundry Discord. You can go to that QR code or just go to ak.ms/chat to register for it. Join our Discord. There's also a Foundry Local channel there that you can post questions in the interim. But we'd love to see you there. It's a 30-minute discussion on Friday. And there's so much interest in the space, so much going on. So bring your questions, bring your ideas, bring your own projects, and we'd love to hear from you. And with that, this is the last slide. If you kind of don't know where to go to the first code, which is Model Monday/RSVP to register for the next session. Go to Model Monday/Discord to join our Discord and go check out the Foundry Local or Model Mondays channels there. And you can go to Model Monday/Forum, and that's on GitHub discussions, which will have links to the AMA and to recaps and more, including links to the slides that you can check out after. With that, I think we've come to the end of our show. Thank you all for sticking around for so long, and can't wait to see you all on Foundry Fridays.